So for setting up audio for midweek service at CRC, that is, we want to get the key here from the sound closet. Most of you already know this by now, but you want to make sure to turn it on. And while we're here in the booth, I'll show you this blue audio cable. Comes from the box, the mixing board, and I'll show you up close there. So the blue cable from our computer goes in here. This is USB right here. And that's how we get the sound to live stream. And also, you'll see main left for left speaker as you're facing the stage, the main left speaker, and main right as you face the stage, the main right speaker. They each have an XLR cable, and if you follow them down, sorry for all the confusing looking twists and bends here, the unraveled mess here, but it goes to the back of each speaker. And there's one cable that is already existing, and this is the one that I plugged in. So you want to plug in whichever input is available. Keep in mind, this one is the output. You don't need to plug into that one, just the input that's available. So when you pack up, we'll obviously unplug, coil up our cables, please coil them, and the one on the left, I just run the cable along the front of the stage here, and that way it's out of people's path. They don't trip on it. It's not in the way, especially the kids. They love to run, you know, and they can easily trip if the cable is out in the middle, in the way. So here again, same as the other speaker. This cable is the one that is already existing from CRC. We don't need to touch that. This is ours, and I plugged it in when we started service. And so for pack up, we just unplug it, coil up our cables. Also, I'll show you when we set up, I want to make sure we turn on behind the stage, backstage here is the digital snake. And so here's the power on button. It's on now. I turned it on right as I turned the key to turn on the box in the sound booth that we looked at. So I'm going to turn it off now. So this digital snake not only powers the speakers and the audio system here, but it also powers the cameras. So if the cameras won't turn on, check the digital snake, because I've had that mistake and I found that it's off. As you'll see here, even though I turned off the digital snake, the camera is still on. That's because it's running on battery power. So we'll just turn it off here, etc. But the audio is easy. Just have to turn on the board, run the cables, turn on the digital snake, and then the tablet, we'll do a separate video on the tablet. I just wanted to make a clarification. When I made this video, it was after midweek service, so a lot of the cables that I'm talking about and going through were already plugged in. So remember that when you're setting up, you're plugging in cables, adding cables, and when you're packing up, when you're breaking down, you're unplugging cables and rolling them up, coiling them up nice and neat. And so I just wanted to make that distinction so it won't be confusing in the middle of this video. Thank you. Here we have a cable that needs to be coiled up, because if we put this in the box or in whatever bag we keep it in, just as a jumbled mess, it's going to get all knotted up and tangled. And for the next person who has to unpack it, it's going to be a mess. So in every cable, there is metal conductors. Some are really flexible, some are less flexible, but there's always a natural coil to the cable. And so we want to follow that natural coil to the cable. You see how that follows the natural coil. All of this does not follow a natural coil. And so it gets tangled up and twisted up and looped up. And so someone has to spend time doing what I'm doing now, untangling it. And it takes twice as long as it could take setting up when you have a tangled mess. So please, when you pack up, take the time. It's worth it. Please take the time to just coil the cable, follow its natural cable. Sometimes you gotta twist it, sometimes you gotta turn it around, but it'll follow in line, as you see. Sometimes I have to do a twist with my fingers, with my wrist, to get it to coil naturally. Sometimes I have to turn the bundle to get it in its natural coil, like that. So you just keep working with it. You see, you find the twist. Naturally, it just falls in a loop, like that. But it takes practice, and you can have a big loop, a small loop, it doesn't matter. It will find a natural coil, like you can see here. So all this mess here is still twisted up. You gotta stretch it out, straighten it out, and then it'll find its natural coil once again. So take time to do this, please. When you pack up, coil your cables, and that's why we have these Velcro straps on our cables too. The Velcro ties hold it in its natural coiled up state, and it's a lot easier and less frustrating. So you just continue to do this till the end of the cable. That's it. You see, this is a lot easier to manage, even in a bag, to find it, because it'll get tangled up if you don't coil it. It'll get tangled up with other cables, and then it's a big mess and a lot of frustration. So this is easier to find and grab and go, and when you are ready to set up, it's already easy. Boom, it just comes out, and you can just walk with it, and you don't even need to stop walking. It'll fall in line very easily. So take the time, coil your cables, please. Thank you. So here I'm packing up, and I've got my cables coiled. As you can see in the box here, there's no special way to put specific cables in specific areas. So this is one of the reasons why we coil our cables, because imagine stuffing all of these cables in the box, and then you got to set up quickly. Perhaps you're late for the next service, or whatever, there's a rush to set up, and you got to spend so much time untangling cables just to power this on and run the basic cables. So see, this coiled cable is ready to go. This one, it's ready to go. These can easily just lay in here any way they'll stay, and they're ready to go.